Harvard.
Did you just say they capitulated? Yes. No one is actually addressing how they initially capitulated quietly. The only article written about this that I read was from the Harvard Crimson at first, and then also from Forward Magazine. Yes, they did. They literally saw what Trump was doing to Colombia.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration continues its push to reshape higher education, with President Trump signing an executive order making changes to the university accreditation bodies and another calling for a review of colleges' financial ties with foreign donors. It comes as the Harvard University president is speaking out for the first time since the school sued the federal government. Did you have to take a deep breath before you agreed to file a lawsuit? That's a big step, especially given who you're suing.
It is a big step, and it was more than one deep breath.
That was a tough one.
It was tough.
Harvard President Alan Gerber on campus today, reflecting on the university's showdown with the Trump administration over its demands of government-ordered changes. Harvard accusing the administration of illegally withholding $2.2.
Did they capitulate first? Yes, they did. And I'm surprised. I'm not surprised, actually, that the media won't actually cover that part. But yeah, they did. Harvard quietly capitulated to the Trump administration's anti-Semitism combating agenda up front. Okay, they restructured some of the departments. They didn't want to do complete academic receivership, but they thought, oh yeah, we'll deal with the anti-Semites amongst our ranks. And what is this? Oh my God, the Times interview. Will you call President Xi if he doesn't call you? No, you won't. Nope. Has he called you yet? Yep. When did he call you? He's called. And I don't think that's a sign of weakness on his behalf. But you think it's a sign of weakness if you called him? I just look. Oh, our president's a moron, dude. He is just stupid. I don't know what else to say about it. He's just dumb. He's not a very smart guy. It's crazy how dumb he is. ICE deported a 2-year-old girl, U.S. citizen, to Honduras. A federal judge raised the alarm Friday that the Trump admin appeared to have deported a 2-year-old U.S. citizen to Honduras with no meaningful process, even after her father was fighting to keep her in the country. The girl was deported Friday, along with her Honduran-born mother and sister, even as Judge Dowdy was trying to discern whether ICE's disputed claim that the mother wanted to bring the children to Honduras was true. She was gone before he could find out. I mean, they said they were going to do that. They said that they were going to basically start deporting like American babies alongside their undocumented parents, or non-citizen parents rather. We're so evil, dude. We are so evil and so stupid. We are such an evil and stupid country. I'm always shocked at the fact that we have been able to dominate the entire planet for as long as we did, because like Trump's idiocy is in full display. Okay.
$2 billion in federal funding as a form of leverage. Among the list of the federal government demands, eliminate DEI programs, make broad changes to admissions and hiring practices. At the center of it all, allegations anti-Semitism on campus went unchecked. Is this really about anti-Semitism?
I would say that at Harvard, we have a real problem with anti-Semitism. We take it very seriously, and we're trying to address it. There's no doubt about the severity of that problem. We don't really see the relationship to research funding at Harvard and other universities. They are two different issues.
Garber said he had no choice but to fight back against what he believes is government overreach.
What they are indicating is that they want to directly review who we hire on our faculty. That has implications for what kinds of views can be expressed on campus. They also want to be able to tell us who we need to fire. And they also want to intervene in our admissions processes. That is what we are objecting to.
You're taking on the most powerful man in the world.
We are defending what I believe is one of the most important linchpins of the American economy and way of life, our universities.
How much pain can Harvard absorb here?
We don't know how much we can actually absorb, but what we do know is that we cannot compromise on basic principles of our First Amendment rights.
Is this bigger than Harvard?
Did you just say they capitulated? Yes. No one is actually addressing how they initially capitulated quietly. The only article written about this that I read was from the Harvard Crimson at first, and then also from Forward Magazine. Yes, they did. They literally saw what Trump was doing to Colombia, and they quietly said, okay, we'll follow along with your agenda. They restructured their Middle Eastern Studies department. They did a couple different tweaks in terms of combating anti-Semitism on the campus. Part of the reason why, they are agreeing that Harvard has an anti-Semitism problem. They agreed that there was an anti-Semitism problem at Harvard. Okay, so they did. They compromised, they capitulated, they gave an inch. And of course, in the process of giving an inch, the administration went back and said, no, we want the farm. And also, Harvard's donors still wanted to suck the administration. Lo and behold, when you have one of the top elite institutions on the planet that has churned out some of the worst war criminals that this planet has ever fucking seen. I mixed the metaphors. They gave an inch and then they wanted a mile. Okay. Yes. Sorry. My point is, there's still going to be major donors, just like at Columbia campus, that are like, no, you should guzzle the administration's cum, actually. It doesn't matter that Harvard is older than the United States. It does not matter. The point is, the people, Harvard and all of these colleges, all of these institutions of higher learning are basically woke and gay hedge funds, okay? It's not really a place for education. Their primary focus is being a bank. They have these ginormous endowments, and a big part of how they keep those endowments ginormous is by going to their donors or going to their alumni and demanding more money. And then those alumni will turn around and say, hey, what do you mean you're not caving to the Trump administration? We like what the Trump administration is doing. Everyone is acquiescing to the Trump agenda here. Legal institutions have done so in an effort to continue working, because if you have any clients at the federal level, the administration straight up was like, if you don't literally give us pro bono work and refuse to prosecute or refuse to go after us, then you can't step foot inside of a federal agency. And instead of these law firms trying to target the constitutionality of this executive order, they just caved. A bunch of them caved. It was insane. And the same thing happened to Columbia. And Harvard saw what happened to Columbia and was like, we can't do academic receivership, so we're just going to stop you now. We caved at first for the fake anti-Semitism allegations, but beyond that, you're asking for too much. What does Harvard do with that $50 billion? What do you think? They just make more money with the money. That's why I said they're a gay bank. Here's a question. President Donald Trump told reporters Friday that he pushed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to allow food. Oh, this is a different one. Sorry. This is not what I was looking for. Where the fuck is it? I thought he also responded to the Harvard thing. Okay, never mind.
Harvard at this point.
Of course it's bigger than Harvard, because we look at what's at risk here. And what's at risk is the excellence of higher educates, and in particular, the research mission of many of our universities, which play such a vital role in the U.S. economy and in the health and well-being of the American people.
One of Harvard's programs at risk due to the funding freeze is tuberculosis research.
It's insane. There's another thing that they did. Remember, NIH grants are going to dry out if your college has ever entertained boycott, divestments, and sanctions on the state of Israel. You don't get NIH grants. Think about that. It's not even if you criticize America. If you criticize the state of Israel, this is not a lie. Like, this is not a joke. I'm not even kidding. It sounds insane. Okay? They're revoking your NIH grants if you have any faculty that has ever entertained the notion of demanding boycotts or sanctions on the state of Israel. It is psychotic. And every single dump in these administrations, in the university administrations, that caves to this demand does not realize how insane this is. They don't realize, like, you have to fight this. If you don't fight this, it's over. And I know people will not heed my warning about it because they'll say, oh, Hasan, classic, obsessed with Gaza, obsessed with Israel. Come on, bro, give it a break. This is not, I'm not even talking about this from the perspective of Israel, dude. Israel is simply the entry point to this conversation, okay? You're so dumb if you think this is just about Israel. This is not just about Israel. You should care about it from the perspective of Israel too, but if you can't care about it from the perspective of Israel, understand that this has far larger consequences. If they do this on Israel, they'll do it for something else tomorrow. And now they have established the president.
If the funding were to be suddenly turned on, how quickly could you get back to your work?
It's a hard question because today we could start relatively quickly. 10 days from now, you know, as the network unravels, the damage becomes irrevocable.
Is this a fight you can win?
I don't know the answer to this question, but the stakes are so high that we have no choice.
In a statement, the White House criticized Garber's comments and said, quote, President Trump is standing up for every student denied an education or safe campus because left-wing universities fail to protect their civil rights. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news.
Oh, damn.